empowering your life. Welcome to the Sphere. This episode is sponsored by Houston Housewives of Finance. For more information on increasing your cash flow, becoming your own money manager, and to schedule your complimentary personal finance strategy, contact the Houston Housewives of Finance today at 1-844-700-4463. Elite Dental Wellness. At Elite Dental Wellness, Dr. Ashandra Batiste understands that one of the biggest obstacles is dental fear. The vision at Elite Dental Wellness is to ensure every patient is treated with respect, ultimate care, patience, and love. Call us today to make an appointment at area code 713-789-8680. Looking to advertise? Join the Sphere's vast demographic reach of thousands of people all over the world. Send an email today to advertise@thesphere.tv or call us at area code 832-772-7789.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for Society Now, a show that endeavors to bring you riveting content that is sure to inspire, excite, and invoke dialogue. I'm your host, Kira Laws, and you can follow me on Instagram at The Modern Day Cindy, and I have with me my handsome co-host. Hey now, hey.
Hey y'all, what's going on? This is Kaylin Laws. Welcome to Society Now. I am your man. You can follow me at SeniorWapo713. SeniorWapo713 on all social media outlets. I tell you, I'm excited.
Why are you excited?
Listen, I'm super excited today.
Why?
Because I literally have the friend that I've known the longest in the world.
That's a
here
man
today.
thing, y'all. Men hold on to friends forever.
We do. We're loyal, man. We're loyal.
It's beyond loyalty. It's something
We're
deeper.
we'll cut cats off, but listen, we go
Rarely.
back
Rarely.
to 4 years old, literally.
Sandbox style.
Sandbox.
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 I love it. Now tell us who our guests are today.
So we have the Indomitable. We have
Indomitable.
The internationally acclaimed.
I can't even
We
spell it,
have the just super intelligent, extremely creative power couple, the Heddens. We have Thomas T. Hedden the third.
All right.
What's up, bro? How are you?
What's going on, everybody? Doing well. Everyone, happy to be here with my lovely wife, Jacqueline.
Jacqueline, hey.
Hello, Jacqueline Hedden. I'm excited to be on the show today.
Okay.
Thank you guys for inviting me. It's kind of cool to be here. We got the power couple, and you got on the show another power couple, and
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm excited to
It's
chat.
the year of power.
It's the year of
2018
power. I
Week.
like that. Year of power.
It is the year of
I
power.
take
I
it.
think everybody needs to take their power. I think it's a take back power movement going on. We're seeing a lot.
power movement.
We're seeing it we're seeing it all through the news. It's a theme going on. Everybody's like on this position of power. They're like,
right.
I'm not afraid to talk out and speak my piece.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful time. So if you're not on the power boat, you're on the wrong boat. I'm not sure, but it's about a power platform right now. So ladies first, tell us, Jacqueline, exactly what you do. I know you guys have a consulting company and all the things that you have your individual endeavors. So I'm gonna start with you, and you tell us everything that you do so the audience will know.
Thank you for that opportunity. I'm Jacqueline Hedden, and I actually have a law degree. I came from the legal background, and now I'm a creative entrepreneur. So I've kind of changed fields, and things are really exciting right now. I have an interior design business, Interiors by Jacqueline. I've just launched my first home decor collection of throw pillows, which Kaylin and Kira got to see at an event I hosted here in Houston
Coming
last
for
night.
y'all, home decor.
Listen,
Y'all be ready.
Watch out.
HGTV, y'all better watch out. Keep your eye on her.
Yes. Big things coming up. Actually, I'm going to be in Modern Luxury Dallas Magazine,
right.
debuting the collection this
Lovely.
March. So I'm super
Yeah.
excited about that. So that's my personal endeavor. And then together, Thomas and I, my husband, we have Hedden Consulting, which helps small business owners really get organized. You know, whether you're at the beginning phase trying to incorporate your business, get that LLC or sole proprietorship or nonprofit, or whether you're further down the line, you have employees. We help people to write their employee handbooks, standard operating procedures, all that good stuff. And it is so inspiring, actually, through this to hear other people's dreams for entrepreneurship in their businesses, organizations. People have such great ideas out here.
Yeah.
So it's an honor actually for people to share with me what their vision is and to be able to assist, in any kind of a way.
Absolutely. Now, Thomas, tell us about what you have going on. I know she mentioned head and consulting,
did,
but I
she
know
did.
you have a just as colorful background as well.
Well, I do. I decided to go into the law, and I just have to be honest, to really keep up with this illustrious woman.
You better keep
to
up with
my
your
right.
lady.
I was like, I cannot allow her to just leave me behind. But when I
No,
got
that's
into
right.
the law, I realized that obviously there's a great demand for people who do legal work with their heart. And so what we do and what we try to do is we help build a community through legal literacy in headandheart.org. You guys can check that out, headandheart.org. We try to help build the community through entrepreneurship as well. The idea there is, it's a pretty simple one. You can't really build your community if you don't have any money. And
Yeah, facts.
it's just pretty simple stuff. But what stops a lot of people from building their business is just a lack of knowledge,
Yeah.
a lack of understanding on how to navigate those different paths and trenches. So we try to help people out with that.
I love it. I mean, I think that's where we are right now in terms of the business, right? Everybody's looking for creative ways. And a lot of times what we find, especially, I think we're a very woke generation. What we're finding is we're kind of breaking away from this past generational mindsets of what it looks like to be successful.
Right.
And successful a lot of times for our parents and their parents was, what they consider stability to be, right? And that usually included a 9 to 5.
That's right.
But we're finding more pleasure in fulfillment, and even if it's a little more hustle to it, we're really that's my passion. That's my passion project. So we will get up in the middle of the night and do some things to pursue a passion. And yes, we might use our degrees to a certain extent in that passion project, but it's more of like, this is me, and it doesn't look like what it looked like before. And so we're not, I don't want to say we're fighting a different fight, but we're in a different space, right?
We
It's
are in a
totally
different
different.
space.
We're definitely in a different space now. What do you think about that, Kaylin?
I totally agree. Listen, academics they tend to, or whatever, tend to say that millennials, that kind of it can go from 79 to 85, like where it begins. At the end of the day, it applies to everyone at this table, and I think as the business sphere has shifted, so have how you do things in business. So
That's right.
Having 3 and 4 and 5 streams of income isn't necessarily being able to anymore being able to be a welder and an electrician
Oh, no.
and a teacher.
Oh,
You see
no.
what I'm saying? And so I think that's been a challenge for the former generation to understand that we're doing the same thing, but just in a different way. So and because we're so interconnected on the internet and in the digital space, whether or not it's business or in a creative sphere or recreationally, it just affords us that much more connectivity for potential clients, customers, etc. So I'm excited.
And then I think you just mentioned it. I think the one thing we're noticing, and I'm sure y'all can attest to that, the multiple streams of income is not necessarily a desire anymore. It is a necessity,
Yeah,
right?
man. It
It's
is.
important
Yeah.
because the cost of living is changing. Even in places that used to be very affordable, we're noticing cost of living is changing. And for us to actually live the way we really want to live, what we aspire to live, you're gonna need a little bit more to actually get to that place of comfort, not perfection, but comfort, right? So it's something to just keep jot down, try to figure out ways to create multiple streams of income. And we'll probably talk a little bit more about that. But I just wanted to talk to the head-ins, because you guys came down yesterday. Well, y'all have been here for a few days, but yesterday y'all had an event here in Houston. One of you guys, tell us about that event. I thought it was amazing.
Man,
I'm glad we
look,
could
great
attend,
event, great
but
event.
tell us about it. I mean, it was amazing.
I'll let my wife do that.
You guys were such a treat to have there. I really appreciate you guys coming out and your support and your contributions to the chat. So the event, it was an intimate event planned as such. We had 15 creative entrepreneurs there from all different backgrounds. We had fashion, design, professional artists, dietitians, real estate people, really wide range. And it was really cool to be able to connect us. I could tell maybe some people at the event said, well, I do this and that's different from this person. How are we going to get collaborations going? And that's what this event was all about. I called it the Creative Entrepreneur Meetup because that's what it's all about, taking your God-given talent and propelling that into a business. And like you said, with that multiple streams of income, it's becoming more and more of a necessity for a lot of folks. But not only that, a lot of people have many talents.
Absolutely.
And I say all of those talents, check, that's a stream of income.
Absolutely.
The next talent, check, that's another stream of income. So I am all about encouraging folks to take that and see how can you monetize it, you know? And that's kind of what we discussed at that event. And Thomas, you were so helpful at the event. He kind of chatted with the people about how to pitch your business, if you want to talk more about that.
And that was one, we did have a chance to talk about how to talk to investors. And there's a certain language that, you have to have when you're speaking with investors. And sometimes we just don't have the training on how to really have that conversation.
You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know. You don't understand that they're looking, most importantly, for the return on their investment. They're not necessarily looking if you have a great idea. They're not necessarily looking to see if you could help a lot of people. Their investors are looking to see how they can get their money back.
Absolutely.
So
with interest.
With interest. So even though you may have a good idea, and even though those things are what drives you, what drives investors is what we have to understand when we're trying to raise capital. So having that conversation is something that I think obviously entrepreneurs need to have more often. And the more often we have that conversation, just the more adept we'll get with it.
I think, and what you just said, I think this actually needs to become a household conversation.
I agree with that.
I think we need to start having conversations about how to build business in the household, even starting with, your family members, your young children.
Absolutely.
Because like you said, Jacqueline, it's more of people have more than one talent.
That's right.
And when we box people in, we don't allow their talents to really grow and thrive. And we have this expectation that you can only do one thing. And I'm glad that I was able to grow out of that space, because I too had a very professional background. And every time I wanted to move to the left or to the right, everyone was like, but you're just a blank. And I'm like, okay, so what do I need to do to reinvent myself? And I tell people all the time, I had to go through extreme measures to reinvent myself, literally taking myself out of one space and going into another space just so people can take me seriously in other areas. And it's so interesting how now we're finally getting to a place where people are recognizing you are able to multitask and balance all your talents. And it doesn't mean that you're trying to, I guess some people feel like it's greed, like you're trying to do too many things, or you're not focused. I'm like, no, I'm very focused. But that
is something you hear at this. What are you focusing on?
What are you focusing on? I'm like, that's a crazy statement. I'm like, no, I'm actually, while I'm doing this thing and I'm reading this review, I'm getting a whole bunch of ideas from something totally different. Or I'm looking at your shirt and I think that shirt can be made in pink and green and yellow and with some stripes on it. And I'm not awed for that, because that's just a talent for me. You know what I mean? Or it's a gift. It comes naturally. So it's one of those things, just encouraging around the dinner table in the morning time, encouraging those who you're connected with to be like, tap into everything, because there's clearly a lane for everybody. It's enough money out here for everybody.
Listen, I mean,
obviously,
I totally agree.
Obviously,
and it comes.
Enough for everyone.
It comes.
Your brother said you were going through it. Since I was, bro, that's my brother. I was going through. People were trying to lock me down.
Right, but I don't necessarily. It was horrible watching you go through that. And
it was stressful.
Having been through it a little bit, seeing what that's like now since I'm in career change. But again, when we talk about the former generation, they were not privy to the what's what I'm looking for. To all of the access. They didn't have the access that we had. So they just didn't have the knowledge and saying that, it can be done. They only
didn't see
saw
it,
that certain lane.
Yeah.
Whereas we're a digital generation. We literally, Thomas, we literally are the video game generation.
That's right. Literally. And I think that separates us. But I think another thing in terms of just how the economy has changed. In 50 years ago, very rarely would you see people changing jobs and changing careers. Oftentimes they stayed at the same place for a long time. But now that's changed. Did we need to? Everything's fine. Now we're in a position where, because of the likelihood of people changing careers so often, you have to reinvent yourself. You have to reinvent yourself for this particular field or that particular field. Now, I think because the economic stability previously existed where, people worked the same job for 30 years. They didn't have to reinvent themselves. A house in 1980, you could get a house for $25,000. a 30-year mortgage on $25,000 is nothing like a 30-year mortgage on what you have to do today.
350.
So the debt to income ratio.
I mean, everything has changed. Economics have
Everything has changed.
totally changed, and that's why we have to really try to find ways to figure out financial, some financial money managers and some consultants. What do you got on that, Kaylin?
Well, this portion of the show is sponsored by those consultants, sponsored by Houston Housewives of Finance. Did you know that only 4 states in the United States offer financial education? 33% or more than 77 million Americans don't pay their bills on time. 39% of Americans carry credit card debt from month to month, and 39% of adults say they don't have enough savings. Now, do not become one of these statistics. Let Houston Housewives of Finance advise you on increasing your cash flow and becoming your own money manager by scheduling your complimentary personal financial strategy. Contact Houston Housewives of Finance today at 1-844-700-4463. Again, 1-844-700-4463, or email us at info@houstonhousewivesoffinance.com and ask how you can participate in a complimentary, that means free, financial literacy workshop
for the free
near you. Houston Housewives of Finance are the new faces of the new age of financial services. Get your coin together.
I mean, and it's for the free. You can't, I feel like when it's free, y'all have to at least check it out. Just check it out. I mean, even if it's kind of like maybe that's not the company you want to go with, at least you have enough information to make some decisions about which direction to go.
Agreed.
Maybe I need to find someone that meets or suits my needs. So, shout out to the Houston Housewives of Finances for even providing that type of complimentary service.
Agreed.
Because that service in other areas could cost you a pretty penny. And that losing money on someone telling you what to do and what not to do a lot of times doesn't set well for many people.
And it's interesting because I never was, with all of the education that I have and all of this kind of and exposure that I've seen, I never fully understood the benefit of a financial consultant or a financial planner until we got married, because your mom is so heavily invested and she's gonna be great because of because of and so just having these conversations and understanding and her dropping the game to me, it's like, wow, I really didn't, I just wasn't aware.
But no, it's really important. It really is important. But it is it's a different time, and I feel like even when we talk about transitioning back to business development, it's just, I think we're seeing more and more young entrepreneurs that are leaning more to their natural gifts and talents and less into formal education, because they're realizing, I think as we realize, you can go to school for something all day, but your passion will lead you in a different direction. And there may not be an educational platform for that yet, right? You can get training and certifications, but there might not be a degree for that thing, right? Or the degree might not take you where you need it to be. So I think it's really important just kind of, thinking about that as we're talking to young people, because I think we all have an opportunity to talk to young people or even our peers, encouraging them to figure out what their passion is, what their passion project is, and pursuing that instead of trying to figure out just do things just for stability. There, of course, is a need for it, right? You might need to pay bills, you might have some excess debt, but figuring out how to balance it all. So it's really important.
And a good idea for young people who might want to go that more creative route, an apprenticeship.
Absolutely.
Now, I've been talking to some of the young folks about unpaid internships, which I did a lot of back in the day, and got some amazing professional contacts. And they're like, what? Why would I do that? But really, if there's not already a training or a degree program for exactly what you want to do, then that apprenticeship will allow you to get that training from someone else already doing it. And if you don't have that training yet, why would someone be paying you? So that's why just going and just learning under them can be so valuable if there's not that, some kind of specific program for what you want to do. And I had actually another thought when we were talking about these multiple streams of income. Do you guys have multiple resumes? Because I know, Kira, you're doing several things.
Oh, absolutely. And we talk about some of the things we do consulting with a lot of people that we know. And one of the things I tell people, I have more than one paper to speak for me. It depends on what arena I'm stepping in, because the people don't always know me. And sometimes when you put everything on one thing, everyone's not at this level that they can understand the multiple talents that you may have. So you have to figure out what door you're going. Who is your audience? This is my business communication, right? This is a talk I speak to my students about. Know your audience and know what it is that you're supposed to be telling them and giving them. Get that together, because what you give me is going to be different than what you give the next person, if especially they're not in the lane that you're trying to get in. So you have to think about who your audience is, point blank. That's it. I mean, that's.
I completely agree with that.
You have to have more than resume, CV, whatever they're asking for. This is what you have to have, and you have to figure out what's, I guess, good for that industry and make your stuff stand out.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're telling this students that they're teaching, because everyone knows they need a resume nowadays. But like you said, it's just so much more than that.
Oh, yeah.
I have my resume for design services, and then I've got another resume for media, and then I have a resume for law and a resume for consulting, and I highly recommend that.
Yeah.
That's the way to go, especially if you are one of those multiple talented people. And plus,
Absolutely.
that 20-page resume thing, that gets a little overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely. It is crazy. So what else do we have going on over there, Kaylin? I feel like there's something else that we need to talk about deeply. I know for me, there was a conversation, since we're talking about resumes, that black unemployment. This was a funny thing I thought was interesting this weekend, right? Or end of last week. There was a conversation apparently that got out of control because our commander-in-chief mentioned that the black employment is at an all-time low, and it's because of what he's done since he's been in office. Now, I've looked at the facts, y'all. I'm a factual person. I'd actually checked the stats, and I realized when you look at the actual graph, the charting of it, this unemployment rate started dropping in actual 2007. It started declining. Actually, 2008 when President Obama took office, and of course we saw it continue to decline the beginning of this year. But I think it's not. I think we need to just make sure that we're giving people the right communication, the right conversation, that we have a lot of people that have misinformation, right? We talk about the conversation was a fake news. We talk about what is the other terminology people always talk about?
Which one?
What is it? Something about facts? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, right.
Alternative facts. I think we have
That's
to
actually one of my favorite ones.
Yeah,
I'll be
alternative
honest
facts.
with you.
And I think we have a lot of alternative facts when it comes to jobs and unemployment.
Agreed.
I know this
I
weekend
agree.
you had an opportunity to talk to some people about unemployment and jobs and things like that. Now, what was one of your takeaways from that conversation?
So we have to be careful when people start spewing and leading with data and hard numbers. Hard numbers can be manipulated in any context, depending upon who's doing it, right? And so the facts are that unemployment for December for black folks was 6.8%, right? Which is it is first time it has fallen under 7%, which is still high, but anyway,
as compared to other groups.
as compared to non-blacks, whites is 3.7. Asians is 3.1, something like that. And so, to say that it has dropped, okay, that may be a win. You may have won a quarter in this game, but there still is no equity. There still is no equality. There's still the access to the things that our people need, by and large, are wanting. And so, one of the takeaways that we found out from talking with the experts on my radio show this past Saturday was that we still have to work twice as hard to get half as far.
Oh, absolutely. And then
And these are the facts. I'm sitting here with, at this table, if I can't toot our own horn, 3 to this 9, 12, 13 degrees over here, right, at this table. and by and large, by what the system says, we're supposed to be millionaires. We're not there yet. Right, we supposed to be, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year collectively at this table easily, and so we're still not there. And so I think it's one of those things that we just have to remember, that this is why what we were talking about, multiple streams of income, multiple things, us getting all of this revenue is important, because we just have to work twice as hard.
And also I want to just piggyback on that and talk about, I think you and I had this discussion offline about the difference between being unemployed and underemployed. A lot of us, many people are underemployed based upon opportunity, right? Not because they just don't want to work, right? And sometimes this little pay disparity conversation that we'll get into a little later on. But
Can't wait for that one.
but you have to think about there are jobs that people can take, but if they take certain jobs, will that push them out of the job market later on for when the job opportunity that they're looking for comes? Because now they have to explain working in a place that wasn't necessarily in their field, or working in a place where just because they were trying to keep food on the table, clothes on their back, lights on. And so a lot of minorities face the underemployment issue.
Absolutely.
More so than unemployed, and some that are unemployed, they're unemployed by choice because they're like, I don't necessarily need to work there, if I know that I can make more just by being unemployed. And it's a very interesting, and the making more is more so like receiving benefits. But it's interesting. We know most African Americans, there's less African Americans on public assistance than there are other majority populations. But so that underemployment versus unemployment is a very interesting conversation, an interesting dynamic. And for creatives, that we always are challenged on what is it that we'll take, in terms of employment, and what does that look like for us? Because it's not always, the opportunities are not always the same. They're not always fair, because we, like you said, twice as hard, half as far. And we have to learn how to work together to get things done.
Absolutely. I just that whole conversation is very interesting to me, because if we were to look at, I know there's a measure of unemployment and there's a measure of actual unemployment, and those things are calculated a little differently. But with regard to the present commander-in-chief claiming responsibility, I guess the question I would ask is what policy was put in place
that ensure
to make that happen. And if an answer is available, then
please put it out there on Twitter.
Would love to hear it,
because everybody sees your tweets.
I would love to hear it.
Yes.
But if the answer is not available, then so be it. But to claim responsibility for something, it implies that you acted towards it consciously.
It was a conscious action.
Like it was a conscious action.
Like this was part of your policy
plan.
Initiatives.
Right. Was that a part of your plan?
Or was
now,
it
if it was, just tell me about how that came to be.
I love it. I love it.
So it's just objectively, because, we're living in a day and age where politics can be really divisive. Yeah. And I try my best to fight that urge.
Oh, yeah,
because, we have to have constructive conversations.
You have to have constructive conversations.
I don't even try to fight it, because it's only division when there are I shouldn't say it's only division, but the division comes with a lack of perspective.
Oh, that's true.
Right.
That's
true. And lack of acknowledgement that there are cultural differences, there are intellectual differences, there are financial differences, there are economic, educational, social, everything, all these differences. And so obviously there are going to be polarizing sides.
That's true.
So, we all don't subscribe to the same thing, and
that's okay.
And that's okay.
That's right.
But one thing that we do subscribe to.
Come on, subscriptions.
Is we want to talk to our Facebook Live folks, and we want to ask you to subscribe to our show on all the major platforms, including iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. Review our show in iTunes with constructive feedback. Be nice now. Share this Facebook Live post and the entire show with your family and friends, and donate to our mission to bring enriched and inspiring content each and every week. You can donate at www.thesphere.tv/donate. We need that coin. Shout out to Jonathan Sanchez, Mom, Artist Walker.
Right, MM.
Mike Brown. We appreciate you guys for tuning in, and make sure you
go. And we're on iHeartRadio too.
We are on iHeartRadio. So we appreciate you guys tuning in, and stay tuned, and go share and like and subscribe. See you soon.
See you soon. Okay, let's continue this conversation, because this is a conversation I feel like it's not going to go away. It's going to be ongoing. We have so many things that are coming up, because this is a year of power. People are taking back power. People are like, we're going to have this discussion. You're not going to scare us with a tactic and try to shut us down. And social media provides that opportunity for people to speak back, and I'm so glad we're able to utilize it. We live in a free country, so nobody's shut us down yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Thank God.
Yes.
Thank God for freedom of the press, Lord. But So we have to think about.
Shout out to Don Lemon for being woke lately.
Look, Don Lemon done
He's
came
been-
back with
he
a
done
fro,
came
y'all.
back with a fro.
I haven't seen
up. I gotta
that.
be
Lemon
honest
No,
with
came
you.
back
bruh,
with a
Don-
fro,
Don
and he
Lemon
is
is-
lighting
he is
everybody up left and right.
What?
The establishment right now, son.
Don Lemon
Yo,
done
I
said,
gotta
"Hey,
see
let me,
something, you know?
y'all have to
Somebody give
tune
me
in
a
to
picture
see
of the
in it,
afro.
bro.
Somebody.
It's coming.
The Don Lemon
It's
afro.
coming.
I got to see
Bittersweet. Don Lemon drags Trump on national TV
Drags
and was
him.
like, what is this? All right, what grade are you in?"
Man.
Because there are people who
Shout
are
out to
listening
Don
to this
Lemon.
message of hate, and unfortunately, it is a message of hate because anything that's divisive against one group and another, and it's I call it bittersweet. Any person that is sending a message of bittersweetness where they're feeling like they're rallying people on one side to get their base up by downing other people, creating all this division amongst the United States. Kaylin says that now it's almost going to divided states.
Yeah, I call it we're the divided states of
But
America.
we're
right now.
United States, and we're
The
really
DSA.
realizing
Oh, that's sad.
it is sad, but we're realizing how deep this thing runs. But it's bittersweet because on national news, Don Lemon had to say, "Hey, now you got people calling up to CNN threatening people's lives,
Right.
and you're putting our lives in jeopardy because we're reporting the news, and you're telling your base that it's fake news. And at the end of the day, you are responsible for the messages that you're tweeting out, messaging at your rallies or whatever's happening, because these people take what you say and they take it to heart, and they're hearing your message. They think that these threats are valid, and you're going to have to take responsibility if in fact anything ever happens to someone here or happens to anyone that's speaking news, because this is part of freedom of speech." And it was interesting because for the past few weeks he's been very much vocal about what he felt is inappropriate conversation, especially from a person who is the commander in chief. Now, again, we know that this rhetoric went on before 2017, before the inauguration, but it's so interesting how the same rhetoric is the reason why we have what we have in office right now. It's the reason why we have so much division. It's the reason why we have so much public division. We know that these issues always existed, but I think it was in a, I don't know what the word would be for this, but it was always kept safely. You know what I mean? So like, we had closeted people, right? We had people that were very much closeted in terms of what they felt, their racial beliefs, their biases, their stereotypes. We knew it existed, but now we have legitimate craziness going on where people are like,
We do.
It's gone from
brought
overt
it to the forefront.
exactly.
Covert
It's
to
gone from
overt.
covert to
That's-
overt,
that's it.
right?
That's it.
And it's one of those things that, again, we've all experienced it, we've all known it, we've all seen it, whether it's in education, in the community, on the street, whatever. It doesn't matter. But Trump he's done one thing successfully, and that's emboldened his base, and that's one thing that you have to, as a politician, and as somebody who's into the political sciences and into politics, you have to tip your hat to, because that's what you want to do. You want to embolden your base.
As a politician.
Yeah. You want
Sadly,
to.
he's doing a great job as a politician,
Sadly,
but as a
he
man of the
is.
people.
Yes,
It's
which is
not
what the president is supposed to be.
at all.
Of all people,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Of
yeah.
whatever the republic that you're representing. So that's just interesting. But again, it creates something different because the way our system is set up here in the United States, nothing is really separated anymore, especially now. And so our entertainers are now becoming more vocal. We have people, everyone has something to say. No one, everyone's like, well, you have let the cat out the bag. So now everybody got something to say. Everybody got a platform. Everybody feels some type of way. And so one of the things that happened because of some of the, I'm going to say the uninformed statements that have occurred in recent days. We had, this weekend was Grammy weekend. Of course, we saw a lot of celebrities flood the streets of New York. And part of the flooding of New York, I think the weekend kicked off with a Rock Nation brunch on Saturday.
Yeah.
There was a Jay-Z interview with Van Jones on Saturday night on CNN, and it made major headlines because Van Jones talked about his relationship with his wife, his relationship with his children, and also how did he feel about President Trump. And in that conversation, he asked, two things. One specifically was, what did he feel about the S-hole countries comment? And the other one, what do you think about the unemployment comment? And I think Jay's response was very mature. It wasn't immature. It wasn't, loaded with curse words or anything like that. It wasn't uneducated. It was like, when the first response, I think he said something to the effect of, when you say things like that, you're making a bold statement on a whole population of people, where these countries have beautiful people who are very much important to the world.
That's right.
And he was like, and after you finish being angry, now you're hurt. You know, and it creates more division between us as United States and other countries, because now you have a leader of the country speaking out, and unfortunately, although he's denied these allegations, no one believes him, and that's the troubling part to me, because your history or your track record for so long has been such, and so long is, you know, relative, right? But in the past year was so bad that no one can believe that you actually did not say it. It's more believable that you did than that you didn't. Right. And that's an unfortunate situation. And then the flip of that was he, you know, Van Jones asked about what did he think about the unemployment statement. He was like, it doesn't matter about unemployment. He said, because no matter how much money you give us, it doesn't, if you give me more money but still treat me poorly, it doesn't matter. Right. That's a strong thought, because a lot of people don't understand that. Whether you think you're responsible or not for unemployment, whether I have more money in my pocket now, if you still treat me badly, it still is not going to balance out the inequity of how you treat me as a person of these United States of America. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I definitely think that when people get micro discriminations, I think that's what I like to call them, because not everyone, you're not necessarily walking down the street and they're yelling the N-word. Right. Well, that might happen, but
every now and then.
Every now and then.
It's a few bold people out there.
But it's just so micro. And like you say, you know, I can win the lotto, but if people still jumping off the sidewalk when I walk by, you know, I'm not feeling comfortable. Right. So I definitely understand that statement. And yeah, these microaggressions add up. I think that they don't realize people are getting bogged down by all of this negativity, divisiveness. It's really inciting people to behave badly.
Oh, no, absolutely. It's really promoting bad behavior. It's promoting a different level of aggression.
It's a kid term, but it so applies.
But it's an aggressive nature that's happening now. You know, you can't. I don't necessarily know. I mean, we always knew certain things existed. It wasn't like people didn't know discrimination existed. We didn't know that persons had their biases, and we didn't know that these stereotypes. It's not that these things didn't exist, because you know, one of the comments that was made during that interview was about the Donald Sterling. Y'all remember the Donald Sterling situation?
Yes, I do.
And he was like, if they would have dealt with Donald Sterling in a different manner, which was a different perspective, he said, instead of just firing him, how about have the conversation?
Well, you know, sometimes it's hard to find middle ground with racists. You know, if your position is that I am inferior to you, then I'm just going to have a hard time finding middle ground with that. You know,
no. That's
going to make it hard for them to treat you with respect.
But it's interesting though, because Donald Sterling's position was he wasn't a racist. He didn't really think that he said anything.
It's because the term in the word racist has somehow become synonymous with evil person,
and it's pitchfork person,
right? But instead of a person who discriminates based on race,
right? The actual definition, discrimination based on
actual definition.
But
you know, I think that just to what my wife was saying, these microaggressions that we suffer. Now, I had a great upbringing, and I had a multicultural upbringing, and for the most part, I didn't really suffer from any racial setbacks to my identity until college. I'd say even grad school. But when I started to experience it, it was like the death of 1,000 cuts. Yeah. You know, as it were. It wasn't something that that really negatively affected me immediately. It was just an overall prolonged exposure of these subtle, I'd say, degrading acts that, you know, people may not even know what they're doing.
You know, the classic
I like to give people an out, you know.
I know we've always
pearls.
seen
you know
that,
what I'm saying?
You know,
K-Laws, like, no, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, looking
like, I'm not going to steal your stuff. I'm not going to steal your stuff. I don't want your stuff. I don't want it.
But, you know, to try to help people understand that, it takes, it takes somebody wanting to understand.
Yeah.
It takes someone open to the possibility that they don't know everything there is to know about America.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, America is without a question, in my opinion, America, if we were to say that the world is a neighborhood, America would be the best house on the block.
I love it.
But black people, we live in the basement.
And it's unfortunate.
We still live in the best house on the block.
Yeah, that's
now.
good.
Basement.
Really in the
Quite an
basement.
analogy.
Basement.
Really
I
good.
love that
You know,
analogy. I'm
really
taking
good.
Now,
it.
the
No
thing
heat.
about that, though, is
Wait a
that
minute, I
because
mean,
we live in the
I'm talking
basement,
about under
we know the
blanket.
house a little better than everybody else because everybody doesn't come down to the basement. So it's parts of the house that you don't understand because you don't go there.
Do you hear what's happening right now? You hear
Knowledge.
this? This is knowledge. This is knowledge. No, y'all have to hear this because it's
Yeah.
the truth. The people, anything that's the foundation of everything. If your basement is out of order, trust me, the house is not going to stand. And that's what's happening. Now we're starting to see this. I guess this. I don't want to say rage per se from the African American community, but more of a voice, being more vocal, definitely letting people know like this is not okay. Even I don't think we ever had an issue with extending across color lines. I don't think that was ever our issue. By and large, it's very rare that I find people, especially in our generation, that actually have an issue with race.
Right. I agree with that.
I don't see that. That's not really our issue. I don't think we have that bag where we're like, I don't like this person just because.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think we're more collaborative in our nature, and so we're seeing more persons in African American communities reach across and like, hey, I'm partnering with you to talk about this disparity because we lived it the whole time and people were not living with, and the only way we're going to get this conversation going is if we actually speak to someone else that's going through it too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you guys are actually walking with us. And I think that's the power of collaboration. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a different sense, it's a power of collaboration in a different format.
We've seen that with the pay wage
Yeah, absolutely.
disparity, and a lot of people feeling more comfortable to just come out and really have an honest conversation that women are often getting paid less. Although I'm a proponent of negotiating. I've done trainings and negotiations for others, and I like to just encourage people, if you already anticipate that you're going to be given or offered less, then let's anticipate to go in and negotiate for more. There's a great book I can recommend to the watchers and listeners out there, Ask For It. And in that book, they really break down a lot of stats and a lot of helpful tips for negotiating, just about how women actually, statistically, we're not going into jobs and negotiating. Interesting. They tell us how much they can pay, and then 9 times out of 10, women just say, okay, great. And apparently, men are going in and negotiating.
So my retort to that though is women aren't oftentimes empowered to do such either.
Well, that's
Right.
something that, one of the classes that I've taught in the
Right.
past is organizational behavior. And what part of that class that I love the most is when we talked about women in business, and we talked specifically about the pay disparity, and we talked about why we don't negotiate. And most women don't even think that they're, like Kaylin was about to say, empowered to negotiate, because we think about, we are, not only we are women, but we're, for many women, we are dealing with other things. So we're just happy to get the job, just get, stability. Mm-hmm. We think of stability because we're in family mode. We're in household mode. We're like, okay, we just need this check to come in because we need sometimes insurance, or we need, whatever the need is, or we have these bills to pay. And so we don't think about it from the perspective of this person that's actually about to interview as well, or they're going to offer the job too. He is probably going to get $5,000-$10,000 more than me because he was trained in this more of a competitive nature from the sandbox.
Right.
Ask where you think you own, you think you're deserving of more. And a lot of women just don't know. They don't do their research. They don't realize when people offer you something, they usually have a little bit more they can give.
Absolutely.
And if you ask for it, what's the worst thing can happen is a no, right? But at least you asked. You was in a position to ask. And I've been there before, and I know the last 9 to 5 job, I did ask for more. I didn't get it, but I did ask. Because but let me tell you, the thing was, I knew I was the most educated person there.
Absolutely.
And I knew that. And
They knew it too.
And they knew it too.
And they build you at, shut up, Kaylin. I'm sorry.
They did. But I knew that I had leverage.
Don't get hot about it.
But I did
So
stay
that
there for
had
the
a long
experience.
It did.
But it wasn't a long stay, right?
And even the experience of asking for
and
that
that
additional pay.
That was a big thing for me. I was like, well, let me ask for more, because I feel like, because I asked my husband, I said, what do you think? And because I know they're going to offer me this job, what do you think I should? And he gave me a number. I was like, okay, we're going to do that. And when she called, I said it, and she was like, okay, the person, she's like, well, this is what we're actually able to offer you right now. And I was like, because
you took your shot though.
I shot my shot, but I realized though that is but I realized that pay disparity conversation is it's not a small thing. 76 cents to $1, and it's even less
on the high end.
On the high end, and it's even less. I mean, that's just general for women.
Right.
But then you start talking about ethnicities. That's even less than that. So we have to really start looking at it from a different perspective. And there's so many other things that prevent people from actually asking for what they want. Sometimes it's naivety. Sometimes it's a little anxious about it. Like, I don't want to lose the position based upon.
It's nerve-wracking. I understand
It's nerve-wracking. It's nerve-wracking. And it's the training. It's the training. We grew up with, you take what I give you. Unfortunately, you just take what I give you. And it's never been, we don't have enough examples of women showing us how to do it, right? Or men encouraging it on the other side of the table.
And that's where I was going. Also. That's where I was going. You could be, women are oftentimes touted as being a shrew or doing too much,
too aggressive,
abrasive, negotiate, it's so unfortunate. I've been in meetings with E-suite team members, executive suite team members, and they're saying that, and I'm sitting there like, yo. Like, if I really would have recorded this conversation, it'd be legal. But still, if I really would have recorded this conversation and play it over, the dollars that you would lose right now. You see what I'm saying? The funding that would go out. So it's terrible.
It is terrible, and it's so sad because it makes people not want to be engaged, and it makes people lose their smile. But we don't really like that, right?
No, we got to keep your smile.
Keep your smile. This portion of the show is brought to you by Elite Dental Wellness. The Elite Dental Wellness, our vision is to create a welcoming atmosphere and a practice that will offer exceptional dental care and a lifetime of dental wellness. We are committed to the finest possible oral care and the overall health and well-being of our patients. Elite Dental Wellness is built upon a foundation of integrity, expertise, and service. Through our commitment to modern dentistry, continuing education, and a friendly atmosphere, we strive to make our patients feel that they are part of our family. Dentistry can be scary, daunting, and uncomfortable. Dr. Baptiste and her team work tirelessly to ensure your comfort. Make your appointment today with Dr. Ashandra Baptiste at Elite Dental Wellness by calling 713-789-8680. Again, the number is 713-789-8680. Dr. Ashandra Baptiste at Elite Dental Wellness. Y'all got to check them out.
Please check them out.
Because there's nothing worse than being happy and can't smile.
Listen, but oh my God.
I mean,
just smile, just neck tight because you can't open your mouth. Just
looking
that
real
toothless smile.
I mean, and
smiles at somebody. Smile with your eyes.
Smiles, yes, that's what you got to resort to.
And we got to think about it like y'all know, y'all dental health hygiene is connected to other areas of your body, the heart, the brain, and so it's not a situation where it's just about having nice teeth. It really is a situation about taking care of your whole person, right? So definitely, if you can contact, Dr. Chandra Baptiste at Elite Dental Wellness.
Listen, get that smile going. But one thing that did not make me smile, and I've been frowning about this for a while, Kira, in the headings, is this situation with Monique.
Man, let me tell you something.
And this is keeping in line with this pay disparity,
absolutely.
Right? And so, for those of you who may not know, a high level 30,000 foot view, Monique, the comedian Monique is upset because Netflix did not want to pay her. They offered her $500,000 for a special, and she felt like she should have gotten $20 million because that's what Amy Schumer's getting because they called her a legend. They being Netflix called.
Is that really what she got, or is
no? It's no, Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock had got big contracts like $20 million.
Right.
I don't know. Amy Schumer didn't get 20.
Well,
but she got upwards.
Yeah, she got several million. Yeah, she got 11. I'm sorry. Yeah,
she got 11, 12 million,
Thank you for correcting me. Mm-hmm. And so. The issue with Monique is that she feels like that because she's a Grammy Award or Oscar Award winner, that she deserves to get what the legends get. She actually I've seen interviews where she said when she was on Sway in the Morning, and she said that if you call me a legend, that I should get paid like a legend.
Well, this is the thing. This is the problem with the legend conversation. And let's be clear about this. Your legendary status also has to go with credibility and has to go with the way you treat people.
Agreed.
And she has had a long history, documented. This is not conjecture, y'all. This is a long documented history of being one that people don't want to work with anymore. The reason that Universal doesn't want to work with her, and certain other motion picture movie house and New Line Cinema, BET, even something wasn't the Discovery Channel, but another cable network didn't want to work with her. And to clarify, Netflix did not just offer her $500,000; they offered her $3 million.
Yes.
But the reason why she didn't get the $3 million is because she decided that
she didn't want to audition.
She didn't want to audition for it, because they was like, well, come in, give us a little skit with our comedian crew, and we'll figure out what would be a best. But we can offer you 3. She thought that was a slap in the face.
She said because she's an Oscar award winner, she shouldn't have to.
And that's where this conversation went, because
so she lost $2.5 million for being anyway.
Well, she lost everything now.
Yeah.
But so the thing is,
true.
You can't jump on the campaign of pay disparity and inequity, which I agree that that situation absolutely exists. I agree with Jada Pinkett Smith. I understand what Wanda Sykes was saying. But Wanda Sykes said when she tweeted her, she wasn't tweeting in agreement with Monique saying. She was tweeting in agreement like, Monique, this happened to me too, and I went somewhere else. I didn't make it about. She said, because I can always go back there and get money. Netflix got too many projects for me to try to kick them down like that.
Right.
I just went to the next network.
Power of negotiation.
And went and got some more money. And she's like, this is a situation where the way you handle stuff, it's not necessarily in this situation. It's about how you handle stuff. Everything is not always because somebody's doing you wrong. Yeah. Sometimes it's how you handle the situation. And when she came and brought the video to people, she didn't give the backstory about the $3 million. She didn't talk about the fact that
this is the first I've heard of that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Schumer, Chris Rock, and Kevin Hart all sell out arenas,
of course,
arenas all the time. She comes to comedy clubs, and that's not a knock, but it's like you have to think about who your audience is at this point. Your audience isn't. You're not doing. I mean, I don't necessarily know if she was selling out arenas then, but it's not back in the day when it was a Moesha situation. People knew who Monique was, or the Parkers, and people knew who you. Nobody really can connect with you right now.
So, Thomas, what did you say investors are looking for? What's the number one thing they're looking for?
And that's what I was going to say. They're looking for a return on their investment. Look, I really like Monique, and I've been a fan for years, and
Agreed.
I
Same
really
here.
have nothing negative to say. But I was a fan of the Detroit Lions too, and
I hate everything he's saying right now, y'all.
But
you're making your point.
I was a fan.
Make it plain.
Pull it for him.
Make it plain.
But the fact is
y'all
that
remember Detroit Lions?
There's supply and there's demand.
Absolutely.
And if the demand isn't there, then from a business standpoint, the market dictates what you get paid.
Right.
So I think that
she has no share in the market right now.
Not like she used to.
Exactly. Not right now. She's not hot.
She ain't popping like that.
No.
I mean, you think about who Netflix base is.
Yeah.
How many people can identify with Monique? Because people that have their monthly subscription, a lot of them don't really know who Monique is. So I don't think it was left field for them to say, "Hey, audition, show us what you got."
Business decision
before we put money behind you.
Bit. I think there's some disparity involved.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but I think that
it's
a market play too.
Right. Yeah, it's a market play. And with John Murray, who exposed world-renowned, critically acclaimed journalist John Murray, who exposed this email that came from Will Packer, who highlighted all of these things. What he was saying was that her reputation and her management have in effect killed her, and her management is her husband.
Ouch.
And it's nothing. And can I say this?
Yeah.
It's nothing wrong working with your spouse. I find so much pleasure working with my spouse.
Absolutely.
We are
I
equally
I
yoked.
love you, baby.
We're equally yoked in every way. And so, but if you don't have someone that's like-minded, that's willing to work with you through some things, that is level-headed, that y'all can bounce when somebody's having a, we can we over here. We gonna do this thing together, and we gonna figure out a strategy. Then you're not gonna be as successful as those people, your counterparts, your peers, your contemporaries, if you're looking at it from that perspective, because you're managing me, but I'm expecting you to speak on my behalf for my best interest and not tank me,
as well as hold me accountable.
Absolutely.
So when I'm speaking outside of my neck, get me in line.
Go ahead and grab me.
Yeah, you're right. You understand what I'm saying?
Bro, if you gonna be quiet,
Yeah, or dude, I don't like that. You're supposed to be my client. You're my manager and my husband or my spouse, but so that means I'm your client.
That's right.
So I dictate really what we're gonna do.
I could see that can be a complicated relationship.
It can be.
That's almost another level beyond just working together. So I could definitely see that trouble. And I was also thinking back to our original discussion that I think no matter how big you get, you need to be ready to pitch yourself, sell yourself. You can't be like, you know who I am.
Right.
And you made a video in front of all your trophies, all your awards. You made a video in front of it, but it's like, not to say they're not relevant. They're relevant, but it's more like, but when they ask you, hey, show us your newest material, you should make us laugh, because we're willing to give you the 3 if you give us a little bit.
What?
And then negotiate after this one is successful. Say, listen, I brought this to the table.
That's called
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
I got my 3 mil. Now let's go to the second and third deal. And I need my 12, 13, 15.
But that goes to a level of confidence too. You have to know, I'm gonna bring it, and when I bring this next thing, you're gonna want to do a package with me. You're gonna want, and that's how. See,
I don't know if they're gonna want to.
Nobody's gonna want to do a package now, but no, it's not
Netflix
even. You should have called us, Mo. You should have called.
Netflix,
you should have called
Head and Consultant.
You could call Status K. You could call out somebody and tell us, like, listen, what do we need to, like, you need to go in there and do that bit.
With JB, that thing.
Do that bit, and then we'll circle that sucker back around when it's time to renegotiate the next thing.
Timing is everything.
And timing, or go to the next place and say, hey, I've done this, and it was successful, and it was recent.
Yeah.
It was recent.
You leverage that for even higher pay.
Right.
There you go.
Exactly. It was recent, and you could see my numbers, look at the analytics, and that's what happened. But you can't be that I can't keep talking about tooting about my past success. Nobody care about what I did in 2003. It's not important anymore. It's 15 years later.
Yeah. So, listen, we got to keep praying for us. At the end of the day, she's a supremely talented comic and actress.
I support her.
And I do support her. I just need her to get her whatever character issues may be looming that people are saying. And where there's smoke, there's fire. Because every network she's ever worked with,
everybody don't tell the same lie, man.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And so we just got to keep her prayed up, man, and so that she can be.
I look forward to seeing her too. Now I know that we do a lot on this network, and so everybody who wants to kind of tune into this network, get more support. This portion of our show is actually brought to you by the Sphere Network. It really is. And are you starting your business and looking for a place to advertise? Do you have a need to reach out to thousands of people across the world to build your brand or sell your product? If so, get your product placement and advertising needs handled right here at the Sphere. We offer a wide variety of content delivery platforms, including iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, YouTube, iHeartRadio. Plus, we have a vast demographic reach within the United States as well as modern countries around the globe. Our enriched content and inspiring dialogue, coupled with your strategic ad, is surely to hit the mark every time. Call us today at area code 832-772-7789 or email us at advertise@thesphere.tv. Again, the number is 832-772-7789 or advertise@thesphere.tv. Hopefully, we'll hear from you soon. Yeah. So, just getting back into this conversation, because this, we couldn't do none of this conversation if it wasn't for the Sphere. So, shout out to the Sphere.
Shout out to Gary Lay
for making
G. Hawkins.
G. Hawkins for making it happen for us. But no, seriously, it's so many things happening in the world. It's not that the pay disparity issue isn't real. I mean, when I heard about Tracy Ellis Ross on Blackish, I understood that. I understood her, her situation. I mean, it's the same thing. It's like you and I are technically doing the same job because it's a mom and dad type show. It's you need both elements. But I'm getting paid way less than you, and then there was conversations about, well, he's also an executive producer, but that's a different check for him. That's not the same check. That's not his acting check. That's not his SAG check. That's not the SAG check.
Right.
That's his production check.
Right.
And that check is cut totally different. It's a whole nother element.
Right.
That math is different.
When you EP, it's different. Yeah,
it's different. And so, we're seeing it even within amongst each other. And so it takes a lot. I love hearing about people talking about, how can we get this conversation right? I like all the campaigns that are going on right now. I think that it's just we're just in a time where, like I said, people are taking their power. They're like, listen, I'm not going to continue to do this. Somehow there's going to be, I feel like somehow we're going to get to a more equitable state. I don't necessarily know how it's going to happen or how quickly it's going to happen, but it will happen because there are many people who are having the same conversation, who are willing to get behind women and men. You know, I think last week we talked about Mark Wahlberg, and he's saying, well, he'll donate his 1.5 million because he was unaware that Michelle Williams was only getting paid a per diem,
her
was
$85
$85 a day per diem. And he got paid $1.5 million for them to do the exact same reshoot.
Oh wow!
Yeah, reshoot. Yeah. And she wound up making like two. It was something like $200,000.
No, it was like $8,000.
No. For the reshoot, it was like 200. It wound up being like 200, but it's still 200 to 1.5.
Right.
I mean, come on. You see what I'm saying?
He's like, well, I'll donate mine, and I'm
yeah.
like, well, that's the right thing to do because you already got paid for the first time. You know what I mean? Like your check was big the first time. You know, so
exactly.
Like
so you got an extra 1.5.
extra. But I mean, it wasn't his fault. You know what I'm saying? Because again, he was given more, not because he was the better actor, it's just because I guess they looked at it from I don't know. I don't even know what's the math on male versus.
That's that toxic.
How do they even how short they're gonna cut it?
It's like how male, female. How did that math ever come up?
But you said something in that hopefully we're gonna get better. And it's hard for me to have a lot of hope in that with current people in place and current mindsets in place, right? Yeah. We have to wait. It's kind of the whole Supreme Court justice kind of deal. You have to wait till they leave this earth or step out of their position in order for things to really, really change.
It's like CEOs at the top of a company.
Exactly.
Usually
So
they're there forever.
So once they're there,
old companies.
Yeah, old companies. So we have to wait until there's a regime change, until folks from our generation are running things. When these baby boomers who are still the current CEOs and having that oftentimes that baby booming mindset.
And pray that they're not jaded.
Yeah,
because sometimes you will go in with a lot of fervor and zeal, but because you've been in the organization for so long, you start adopting that same mindset or buying in to the thought processes that drove the decision making, and realize you're actually agreeing to something that you were once vehemently against.
Yeah, that's so true.
And I think we can start from the bottom up. And how about us small business owners? As we hire our staff, paying people what they're due and what they're worth, and paying women the same as men.
Agreed.
So, if we can't wait for it to change from the top down, I think we're just the people for the job.
Agreed. I love that. That y'all better pay attention. Entrepreneurs, it's on us.
Wake up and
it's on us. Entrepreneurs, it's on us. It's either we equal or we're not doing it at all. We got to do something.
I know that's
Come on, y'all.
Please don't start. So
okay, now I want to talk about one more thing. I feel like it's a good in the hood statement.
Let's talk about that.
And this is a person I've been talking about him for like over a year now, and I think that he continues to show that he is a stand-up guy, and that's Colin Kaepernick. Cap had his 10 for 10, his $1 million donation. He's like $990,000 has achieved it. He's only 10 grand away, and he has reached out to a lot of people to make sure he reached that goal. In the past week, he's had persons come up from Nick Cannon, Steph Curry, Snoop Dogg, Serena Williams, Chris Brown, a lot of other people, and they're like matching his 10. So it's like some people are matching it two times over.
Right.
T.I. is donating to our relief gang here in Houston. You know what I mean? So it's interesting to see how he created something. He's money out of the million is out of his pocket. The doubling it is making it worth it, right? So I'm like, I think it's amazing to see how, even though he's under so much pressure, or maybe it's not pressure for him, but he was under so much scrutiny for such a long period of time, but he still decided, I'm going to allow the scrutiny to pass me by. I'm going to be bigger than that, and still, give back to the community.
He may have fallen on the wrong side of the NFL, but he'll definitely fall on the right side of
history. Absolutely. He is definitely, he will make history.
For sure. His feelings. It will be very kind to him. It will cement his legacy. His kids will be great. His name will be great in the earth. And he's just blessed are they who are persecuted for my name's sake. And he's doing something for those who are less fortunate, for those who are in need, and he's really doing it out of the kindness of his heart because
it's very sincere.
And it's very sincere.
It's very sincere. The whole movement was sincere from the very beginning. It's unfortunate that it goes back to the beginning. It really just illuminated some things we knew was happening anyway, but it just, because we didn't have, I think overall we didn't have the right type of leadership at all to really manage and mitigate that situation. It just went out of control.
In this time of, we were just talking about toxic masculinity, Kay, and we need men like Colin,
absolutely,
who can stand as a foil to that, because if the good men just sit around and do nothing, then that's going to.
That's complicity.
Yeah, that's going to make
Absolutely.
sure that we really are on the losing side. So I'm just a huge fan of Colin Kaepernick.
Straight up.
He sacrificed. He really laid it on the line.
He did.
He lost his career. He may
did.
not. I mean, chances
And
are
launched
he'll
a
never
new
play
one,
again.
but that was a sacrifice.
It's a sacrifice, and the question is how many people are willing to go the same route, right? How many people are willing to sacrifice it all for the sake of justice? And not too many people can speak to it for that level. So he is definitely one we will always remember in history. He's here today. We'll give him the roses while he can still smell them, for sure.
Absolutely.
Right.
But let's appreciate that type of effort and try to make sure we are encouraging that across the board in all areas, not just in sports, right? In all areas, let's fight for justice. Continue to fight for justice,
Let justice rain down
like waters,
and
and righteousness.
like a flood.
All right now. Well, that is the book of
Book of Laws.
The first book of laws. First chapter, first verse. Okay, well, you guys, we have an amazing time today on Society Now. I'm so glad you guys could have partied with us because we partied today. We talked about a lot of great issues. We had a lot of things that we could have tackled, but I'm glad that the things that we tackle were relevant, as always, inciting, invoking, and inspiring. My name is Kira Laws. You can follow me on Instagram at The Modern Day Cindy, and it's my handsome co-host again.
Hey, Caitlin Laws, make sure you go ahead and follow me at Senior Wapo 713 or go to my website, SeniorWapo713.com. Check me out. We have our amazing guests. Please give some last words for us, Jacqueline and Thomas, before we get
Thanks
out
for
of here.
having us today on Society Now. This has been so much fun, and I hope that you guys will check out my Instagram also, Jacquin MH, JACQUINMH. And I have lots of inspiring decorating tips on my website, interiorsbyjacquin.com. Go ahead and subscribe and be inspired. We've got DIY on there, so if you're on a low budget, there's plenty
Balling
of
on a
ideas
budget.
you can do to beautify your home. So check them out.
Isn't that beautifully curated there?
Oh, yeah.
That
Her
Instagram page
your
is. I
curation
need
is
to work
awesome.
on mine. I need to hire somebody. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it is popping up there. We just we appreciate being on air. Just as my last word, I'd say support small businesses. I think that they are the backbone of America, biggest employers in America, and it's something that if you can't support them, start one.
If you
Something
can't
you can leave
support-
to your kids.
Oh, and
Hey.
I will say this though. Let me say this because you mentioned small business. I gotta say I had a not so delightful experience with a small business because I've been going out of my way
Oh,
to
me too now.
find African American small businesses I really do want to support. I know
That's
we
great.
have a bad reputation of not being the most
so true.
hospitable or really poor customer service, and I actually did experience that last week, and it was the weirdest thing ever. But even in that, I told Kaylin, I said, I'm still going to find companies to support. It's just unfortunate because I really was, I really wanted to support them because it's a beautiful establishment.
Right.
But when I got to tell y'all what was said. When you ask the question about who's paying for it, this is a word to the wise small business owners. When people ask you how much it costs, it don't matter who paying for it. All money is green.
Right.
Your job is to give people the answer. This is how much it
Who's
costs.
paying for it?
Yeah, that's exactly what
This is the packages
That
that
is
we.
so strange.
This is the packages we have available. This is how much our space. You give people the information asking for. Your response was not such that I felt like I need to go back and patronize your business. And because of that, we have to remember that bad news travels quicker than good. Hence the reason why we have social media a buzz the way we have it. So that's just my word to small business owners. Treat people. Treat people the way you want to be treated when you walk into establishments, black, white, or other. It has nothing to do with you being a black business. It has everything to do with how you treat people. So you should not treat one man better than the other. So that was my word.
There it is.
So y'all have an amazing week. We'll see you next Monday.
Tune in next Monday. Heavens, we appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
We love y'all so much,
awesome.
man.
Too, brother. Yes, sir.
And we'll see y'all next week.
Bye-bye.